Once we are done with the get and the post request, we'll be beginning with MySQL. MySQL is very similar to SQLite that we have already used. It is a full-featured open source database for any type of language. Means it is not restricted to only PHP. You can use MySQL with Java, with .NET, and with host of languages. PHP and MySQL are very tightly bound to each other. This is because PHP provides us inbuilt libraries to access the MySQL database. For example, whenever you will be doing programming with .NET, .NET provides you inbuilt libraries to access the Microsoft SQL database. Similarly, PHP provides you inbuilt libraries to access the MySQL database. PHP is open source, MySQL is open source. They are made by separate companies, but they have been integrated tightly with the help of all the packages. Like you have the WAMP server, the LAMP server, the MAMP server. WAMP is for Windows, LAMP is for Linux, MAMP is for Macintosh, and you get XAMPP as well, XAMP, that is a cross-platform Apache MySQL PHP server. So because of this, PHP and MySQL are very tightly bound to each other, but MySQL can be used with other databases, or PHP can be used with other databases like MySQL, MS SQL, Oracle, PostgRE, etc. Means PHP is not restricted only to MySQL. You can use PHP with Oracle, with Microsoft SQL, with PostgRE, etc. But this has to be done with the help of libraries for each database. Means if I want to use PHP with Oracle, then I have to download the Oracle library for PHP and use that library inside the PHP code. Let's have a look at the phpMyAdmin tool. We'll go to localhost and click on phpMyAdmin 2.11.2.1. The version might be different on your computers, but you have to click on phpMyAdmin. The phpMyAdmin is a PHP tool for the administration of the MySQL database. That is by the name phpMyAdmin, where PHP indicates that this has been written inside the PHP language. My indicates it is a MySQL database, and admin indicates you are the administrator who will be checking out the complete database. So whenever you click on that, you will be getting such a window. Over here on the left hand side, you get the complete databases that you have. On the center, you will be getting a host of options where you can create database and you can do lots of stuff over here. So let's create a new database. To create a new database, we'll enter the name of it as DBF students and click on create. Okay. So in the previous slide, we have seen that we can create a new database. Over there, we'll give the name of the database as DBF students and click on create. That's fine. Okay. Once we are done, then we'll add a table to the database. The table name will be TBL personal information, and the number of fields inside this table will be 6. What will be the 6 fields we'll see, but for now, when you will be creating the database, you will be getting a window like this. Inside this window, you have to give the name of the table as TBL personal information and number of fields as 6. That's fine. Then let's add the fields in the table. When you click on go, you will be getting a form. Inside that form, you have to fill all the fields. So we'll have the following fields. We'll have ID, which is the primary key. What is the primary key? A primary key is a unique field inside the table that is different for each record. Okay. In our case, it is the ID. It is a primary key of type integer. That is, ID can take integer values. It is not null. That is, the ID for each record will never be null. And it is auto increment. That is, the ID will auto increment for each of the records. Then you have name, age, address, contact, and other information. The name is a varchar. A varchar indicates it is a variable character. That is, it can contain a series of characters of variable length up till 100. That is, the maximum length of name will be 100. The maximum length of age of type integer will be 3, because no one can be of age more than 999. Then you have address. It can be a varchar of width to 200. This width is a bit less. If you want, you can increase the width. Then you have contact, that is the contact number. It will be a varchar of width 100. And you have other information about the person. It will be a varchar of width 100, but this can be null. Okay, name, age, address, contact are not null, whereas other information can be null. Then enter the information in the form and click on save. Let's see how do we do that. We have filled in ID, integer, name, varchar 100, age int 3, address varchar 200, contact varchar 100, other information varchar 100. When you click on this, you have kept this as null. And how to make it a primary key with auto increment? Inside the extra you will give auto increment, and this is the symbol for primary key. Okay, that's fine. They have given the primary key. Once we are done with the table, let's do it and create the table in actual practice. Let's do it. For the MySQL demo, we'll have to go to localhost first. Inside this, we'll go to phpMyAdmin. In phpMyAdmin, I have to create a new database. So the newer version will be looking like this. Inside this, you have to go to databases. In databases, let's create a database by saying dbf student information. If I will click on create, it will create the database for me. We'll have the databases over here. I'll go dbf student information. I'll be getting all the tables inside this. Right now I don't have any table. So let me give a table name as TBL students. Give number of columns as say 7. I'm adding one more column to the actual slide so as to show you some information on the student. I'll click on go. Let me give over here ID. It is of type integer. Length and values don't matter. You have to give the index as primary key, and this AI indicates auto increment. So I'll just click on this so as it auto increments. Then I have the name of the student. Name of the student has to be a varchar. So if you can just go over here and search for varchar. The length of this should be say 100 characters because no student will have the name more than 100 characters. Then I'll have password. This is a new field that I'm adding. We'll have a varchar. Let's say 100 characters as well. Then we'll have age of type integer. Let me give the length of age as 3 because it will be at the most of 3 characters. Then we'll have contact. Let me give the contact as varchar. You can just press V to get varchar. Your contact number can be say about 50 characters. Then we have the address. The address should be a varchar again of 300 characters. And then we'll have something called as other information. I'll have other information varchar of say 100 characters. And other information can be null, so I can check mark on this null column, and you can just scroll down and say save. It will save the database of TBL students with the name, password, age, contact, address and other information. Once the table is created, let's now interact the PHP part with the MySQL part. To interact with PHP MySQL, we should follow the given steps. Step 1 is that we must connect to the database server with the help of the connection server, the username and the password. Okay, now you have to first appreciate the fact that PHP code might be on a different place and MySQL database might be on a different place. Now the MySQL database will be inside a server, PHP code will be inside a server. From the PHP code, you have to give the name of the connection server where the MySQL database is present. And this MySQL database is a very secure database, so you have to have a username and a password. So in our case, whenever you will be installing the PHP MySQL database, in your case the connection server will always be localhost because the PHP and MySQL are on the same PC. So you will be having localhost, that is for PHP. MySQL has been hosted locally on the local machine. The by default username is root, R-O-O-T, and there is no password. So you'll be having the connection server as localhost, the username as root and no password. Then once you are inside the MySQL database, then you have to select your database that you want to use, with the help of the database name. One MySQL database can contain n number of databases. Out of these n databases, the database which you want, you have to pass in the name of that database to the connection server. Then you can execute the queries on that database with the help of the connection in the previous step. So you first got the connection, you selected the database, now you are executing queries on this database. Then you have to close the database. Okay, so I hope the steps are clear. We'll be following these three steps with the help of the same three-tier model that we have with the Android MySQL part or the Android SQLite part. We had the database, we had database handler classes, then we have table specific classes, we had the main code and the UI. So UI in our case will be the HTML code. The code that will be accessing the tables will be the PHP code, and then we will be having the database part. So let's create a MySQL library. Why are we creating a MySQL library? Because we want all the functions to execute depending upon our choice. So we are creating a MySQL library. That MySQL library will contain functions to open the connection, to execute queries on it, and to close the connection. So let's create a new file with the name mysql library.php, and it would contain functions for connecting to the server, opening the database, executing queries on database, and closing database. So we'll have 4 types of operations over here. So whenever we'll be requiring to interact with the MySQL database in our code, we have to include this library inside our PHP code, and we are good to go. For example, when we used to do C programming, at that time we used to write #include stdio.h. This stdio.h was a simple header file that you were including in your code. Similarly, the MySQL library will also be a file that we have created, so that we will be importing this in our PHP code for usage of the MySQL database. Let's create the MySQL library. First, let's see how do we connect to database. To connect to database, we'll be first having two variables, connection and database. These are global variables, so whenever we'll be using these variables inside a function, we have to define them as global variables. So we'll have function MySQL start. The MySQL start function will be used to start the connection from our code to the MySQL database. In our case, the name of the connection server is localhost because MySQL is hosted locally, and the database which we want to use is DBF students. We have already seen this because we had created the database as DBF students. Inside this, let's define the connection as global and database as global because we want to use the connection and database across all the functions, so we are keeping them as global. Then we will say connection equals to MySQL underscore connect. The MySQL underscore connect is a by default function given with PHP. This function requires two arguments. The first argument is the connection server, and the second argument is the username. If you have a password, you can pass the third argument, comma password. In our case, the password is blank, so we are not passing it. So we have MySQL connect, the connection server that is localhost, and the username that is root. Once we are done, then we'll check if the connection is set. So we are again using the function isSet. If the connection was successfully established, then the connection variable will be set. Then out of the complete database server, we have to select one database, that is our database. Okay, in our case the database is DBF students. The database server will have multiple databases. Out of those databases, we have to select DBF students. So we'll say db equals to MySQL select db. The MySQL select db is also an inbuilt function given to you by PHP. This function takes in two arguments. The first argument is the name of the database that you want to select. In our case, the database name is DBF students. The second argument is the connection, that is from what database server you want to select this. From this connection, we have to select the database DBF students. Then we will check if the database was set. If the database was set, then we will say return true. If we get a true value from this function, This indicates that we have successfully set up the connection and we have successfully set up the database. Otherwise, we'll do a return false. This indicates that there was some problem with the connection and we were not able to establish the connection properly. So far so good. This was the MySQL start function. This is just used to connect to the database. Then we have the queries function. Queries can be of two types. The first type can be select queries that will return you a result set. Okay, whatever you will say select star from the table, you'll be getting all the records. Those records will be given to you in the form of an array. The second type of query is insert, update and delete queries, which will give you either true or a false. That is, if the insert was successful, it will give you a true, else a false. If the update was successful, a true or a false. If the delete was successful, then a true, else a false. So we'll use an execute query function that will be used to insert, update or delete records from database. Let's have a function called as execute query. Inside the function, we'll have the query that we want to fire. We'll have the global connection, global database, because we want to use the connection and database over here. Then we have a simple check that if the connection and database was set, if they were set, then we will say MySQL underscore query. The MySQL underscore query function will be used to query the database. In our case, the query would be the query to fire. This will be the insert, update or delete query, and we have to fire this query on the connection. Now, whenever we execute a query on the database, there is an ID generated. That ID we have to fetch and we have to check the value of that ID. So we will say result equals to MySQL insert ID. If this ID is 0, that indicates the operation that you have performed has failed. But if the ID is a non-zero value, this indicates that the operation that you have performed has passed. So we'll give a return result from here, else we'll give a return -1. Okay, so in case the result was properly fetched, that is, if you have made an insert query and that insert query got properly executed, you will get a non-zero value from MySQL insert ID. You will return that non-zero value from the function. If you get a not executed query or the query that you want to execute did not execute properly, in that case the MySQL insert ID will give you a 0 value. 0 indicates false, so return 0 will give you return false. I hope you are clear with that. Then we'll have a function to select the records. To select records from the database, you have to follow the given steps. First, you have to query the database and get the dataset. Then you have to fetch each row of the database and store it inside a fetch array. And once the array is fetched, then you have to return the array from the function. Okay. To develop this, we will be using the MySQL query function. The MySQL query function will query the database and give us the result. And the MySQL fetch array function will fetch one record from the database of PHP. And we will also need to keep a limit on the number of columns. This will be done in the code. Let's see how do we do that. We'll have a function called as search database. Inside the function, we'll be having the query that we want to fire. We have the global connection, global database. We'll check if the connection and the database has been set up. Then we'll first query the database and we'll get the result. So MySQL query function is used to query the database. The query that we want to fire will come from here and the connection will come from the global connection. Then we will say count equals to 0 and we will have a while loop. The while loop will say while row equals to MySQL fetch array result. The MySQL fetch array will return you one row from the result and will increment that row. That is, if you have 5 rows inside your dataset, then the MySQL fetch array will first fetch the first row and move to the second row. Fetch the second row, move to the third row. Okay. It is similar to calling cursor.move to next. Once you're done with this, then you will be storing this row inside the output. So whatever output you get, you will store this output variable to the row. So whatever row you get from the output, you will store it inside the output. Once you are done, you will increment the count by saying count equals to count plus 1. Once you have incremented the count, then you will say close the bracket and you will return the output to the user. So far so good. So this was about selecting the records. In case there are no records selected, then you will say return false. Now the last function, that is closing the connection. Once our work with the database is done, we need to close the database. To close database, we have a MySQL end function. This will just say unset database and unset connection. Once you have unset the database and unset the connection, then your connection with the database is broken. Let's see how do we create a sample application with the database. In the sample application, we'll be using the database of the students and we'll be trying to insert some records and fetch the records back from the database. Let's create a new folder with the name MySQL demo. And inside this folder, let's create a file named as index.php and let's draw the layout like this. I hope the layout is pretty simple. You have 6 controls, that is a text, 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 text and text. These are the 6 text boxes that you will be having. This will have the ID as txt ID, txt name, txt age, txt address, txt contact and txt other information. You'll have 2 buttons. This will be a submit button, that is btn insert. You have a clear button, that is btn clear. So let's write the code of this. We have the ID, name, age, address, contact, other information. We have the input type submit. This is when we click on the button will send all the variables in the form of post request to the index.php file itself. As you can see, the action over here is index.php. This indicates that whatever code or whatever values we pass by this button will be passed to the index.php file with the help of post request. Okay, so we are passing the values to our own file. Then we have an input type of reset. This is a new type of input. Whenever you keep an input type of reset, this will give all the default values to the form. Okay, so whatever form you have in picture, whatever blank values it has, when you click on reset, those values will again become blank. So whenever you want to add a new record to the database, you just press clear. It will clear everything on the form. So far so good. So we have created a new form. A form has all the 6 fields and 2 buttons. Whenever you are visiting facebook.com and you type in your username and password, do you get redirected to some other page? No, you get redirected to your same page. That is because whenever you click on the login button, that login button has the action as index.php. This indicates that whenever you click on login, you will be going to the same page, and on the same page you will be able to do all the stuff that you want. Okay, so similarly over here as well, whenever you click on the insert button, then you will be going on the same index.php page, and on this index.php page you will be getting all the values, that is the ID, name, age, address, contact and other information. Once we are done, then we'll write the code to insert the details. The details must be added when the user clicks on the insert button. After clicking on the insert button, the index.php file gets reloaded. Okay, so we need to insert the student details in the database inside the file. Thus, all the code for the insertion must be prepended to the index.php file. That is, whenever you have the index.php file, on top of that file you should have the code to insert the record inside the database. Let's prepending the code. We'll have the PHP tag. We'll check if all the fields have been set, that is the name, age, address, contact and other information has been set. If all the variables have been set, then we'll include the MySQL library and we will get the name, age, address, contact, other information. You can have some checks over here that the age should be an integer, the address should have a format, or contact number should have a format. You can do all the validations over here. with the help of some if statements. Then we'll build the insert query. The insert query is very simple. You'll have insert into the table name, all the fields, that is name, age, address, contact, other information, values. The values will have name in single quote. So as you can see, you have a bracket open, a single quote and a double quote, then dollar name, then again a dot, double quote, then a single quote. So this name is a string value. That's why you have to keep this inside the single quotes. Then you have age, address, contact, and other information. Then you will have a MySQL start function. The MySQL start function will start the connection from the PC to the database. Then you will say execute query. Execute query function is written inside the MySQL library, and this function returns a value if the query was successfully executed or not. So we'll check if the result was not -1, that is you are able to execute the query on the database. Then we'll echo that you are successfully able to insert the record inside database, else you will say cannot insert. I will close the connection by saying MySQL end. I will close the PHP code. I hope you are clear with that. We have just taken all the post variables. We have included the MySQL library. We have copied all these post array inside normal variables. Then we have created an insert query. Inside this insert query, we are passing the name, age, address, contact, other information. We are not passing the ID over here because the ID is auto increment. Then we will say MySQL start to start the connection. We will say execute query to execute the query on the database, and then we will check if the query was properly executed or not. So far so good. We are able to insert the records. Now let's see how do we display the results. Results must be displayed below the form. That is, whatever results you have, you must display them below the HTML form. So the code that you will be needing to display the result should be written below the code of the form, and the result that you will be displaying should be displayed in the following format: name, age, address, contact, because the other information about the user can be null, and the ID is a primary key, so you normally don't show the ID at the user end. So you will be showing the name, age, address, and contact. So we'll have the PHP start. This code will be after the /form code. So you have /form. After /form, you'll be writing less than $PHP. We'll have include once, the MySQL library. The meaning of include once is if this library has not been included, then include it. If the library has already been included, then don't include it. That is the meaning of include once. You have include as well. Include indicates that you can directly include it and not check if the library was included previously or not. But in our case, we do not want to duplicate the code. That is why we will say include once, so that the MySQL library is included only once. Let's fetch the results. To fetch the results, we will say select star from the table name. We'll start the connection and we'll get the required results inside the result variable. The result variable will be calling the function search database. The search database will have the query. The query that you pass will fetch all the records, that is select star, and you'll get all the records inside the result. Then we have to go through a for loop. We'll say for count is 0, count is less than size of result, count plus plus, and we'll echo the result. If I want to go to the first result, I have to say result of 0. So the count is 0 over here. So result of 0 goes to the first record. Inside this first record, I have name, age, address, contact. So I will say result of count, that is result of 0. Inside this result of 0, I will want to access the name. So I'll have result of count of name dot comma. This indicates I want to have a comma appended. Then I have result of count of age. This indicates get me the current age. Result of count of address to get the address. Result of count of contact to get the contact. And you have br slash. Br slash means go to the new line. Once you are done, then you'll close the for loop and you close the PHP code. Okay, so the code is very small, but the logic behind it is to be understood. that you are going from count equals to 0 to the size of the result, and inside this for loop you are outputting each of the records name, comma age, comma address, comma contact. So the expected result should be, if I give the name as Ashwin, the age, the address, the contact, and other information, and I click on insert, the record must be inserted. If I give the name as Pankaj, age, address, contact, other information, click on insert, it should also be inserted. Let's do it in actual practice and see how do we get the